Oh, Jesus Christ, you're back already? Oh, wow. I didn't think you would actually want to watch more of this garbage. Well, welcome, Audioholics, to part 2 of whatever the fuck we decide to call this. Tyler's
Bracketeering.
Bracketeering.
We gotta call it that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to know more about this, just watch the first part. We're not going to explain this style in this part. We're just going to go right into it.
Cool, blimey, Governor, there's some bloody lists, and we do some cage matching and behead some chickens and shit, man.
So since Logan went first in part 1, I'll go first in part 2.
Fuck you.
And Deep Purple and Rock. Okay, listen, I love Dirt. It's in my top 50. It's low. And there's a reason for that. I love Alice in Chains, but Dirt is a spotty album. There are quite a few songs on it that I kind of just skip. There are a lot of songs on Dirt. Did you ever realize that? Like, how many songs are actually on Dirt? There are 13 songs on Dirt. That is a lot of songs for an album.
Woo!
The album is an hour long. I mean, seriously, like a lot of albums, 8 songs, 10 songs is pushing it. 13 songs is a lot. And I don't think any of them are transition tracks. They're all actual songs. And, you know, like, there's some awesome ones like Junkhead, Rooster, Damn That River, Them Bones. But then there's songs like Hate to Feel, which are just like, what? Sick Man, Rain When I Die, There's just a few songs on it that are just kind of meh. You can't say that about In Rock. You can't. In Rock is basically perfect from front to back. Speed King. What a blistering song. Bloodsucker. Fucking menacing as hell. Child in Time. One of the best songs ever made. Flight of the Rat. Amazing. Into the Fire. Amazing. Living Wreck. Not my favorite, but it's still great. Hard Lovin' Man. I know a Rush song that's similar to that, but it's better. So yeah, Deep Purple and Rock is a fantastic fucking album. Better than Machine Head. Fuck yourself.
Yeah, I basically say exactly the same.
Yep.
There's really not much more I need to say other than the only problem with In Rock is that the Americans got fucked over, and we didn't get the cool solo at the beginning of Speed King, which would have dramatically improved the album. But I mean, you have Bloodsuckers. Child in Time is probably my favorite song on the album. Into the Fire as well. Flight of the Rat is really good. Just so good.
Such a good album.
So
and it's weird because
so like fucking good.
The guys with this much talent would never go on to make anything nearly as good.
Agreed.
In their entire career. All right. Next, we have Pyromania by Def Leppard versus Metal Health by Quiet Riot. I'm going to choose Metal Health because this is a nostalgic album for me. I grew up listening to a lot of those songs. You know, Come On, Feel the Noise, Bang Your Head. You know, it's just a classic album. It's not, the distinction is this is a junk food album, right? This isn't an album you go to for like poetic lyricism, amazing compositions and things like that. It's just fun, you know? It's like AC/DC, except, you know, good.
Good.
So what about you? What are you picking?
Quiet Riot, Metal Health, rather. So this is where I stand. Regardless of what you think of Def Leppard, your thought process on Pyromania either goes in one of two camps. It's either the end of the beginning or the beginning of the end. This is either the first sellout album or the last non-sellout album. I'm personally in the latter camp, personally. But Metal Health is such an amazing album. And a lot of people don't actually talk about the follow-up to Metal Health, Condition Critical. That's a pretty good album in and of itself as well, the title track especially. But Metal Health, Run for Cover, Come On, Feel the Noise, Bang Your Heads. Slick Black Cadillac is probably the most underrated song on the entire album. Love's a Bitch is really good. if I had to say anything, it's that I think maybe it's just nostalgia speaking, but I think this album is maybe more front-ended. There's not as many good songs, I think, towards the back half, but there's still some good songs. Just the front half, if you're listening to it on the record, I'd say listen to side A, listen to side B, and you're probably going to listen to side A more.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, Metal Health, fantastic album cover on both of these. I think that, and again, I think Pyromania, with all of the, with all of the things that it has, I think with all of the criticism that it has, I think there's some merit to it. I think, songs like Rock of Ages, I think is really good. Too Late for Love is probably one of the best songs on there. Honestly, it's the more mainstream pop sound of Def Leppard that would reach completion on Hysteria, but it's kind of a good transition to where it's sellout, but still enjoyable, I think, to a new wave of heavy metal audience.
All right, so let's move on to Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult versus Rain in Blood by Slayer. This should be difficult for me because I really like both of these albums, but what it comes down to is that Blue Oyster Cult is one of my favorite bands, and Secret Treaties is my favorite album by Blue Oyster Cult. Rain in Blood is one of the most influential thrash metal albums of all time, but I find Slayer to be a bit too... Their rhythms are too random sounding for me, so I don't end up enjoying them as much as any of the other big four thrash bands. So for that reason, Blue Oyster Cult wins.
Blue Oyster Cult, I fucking hate Slayer.
He really doesn't like Slayer.
I don't get it. How is this in the same category as Metallica and Megadeth? It's way heavier. And I don't really, and yeah, okay, fine. It has a fan base. I understand that. They deserve the fan base they have because they're probably really fucking talented. I hate Slayer. I love Secret Treaties, though. I actually just listened to this, was it yesterday? No, the day before, Saturday. I was listening to it with my girlfriend because I was listening to the new Blue Oyster Cult album, which we will do an Audioholics on. And she was really liking that. So I was like, okay, fine. We're going to, I guess it's time to listen to a classic album. So I put on Secret Treaties, and it's even better than I remember it. Dominance and Submission, Flaming Telepath is probably my favorite song. Career of Evil, that's another really good one. What is it? Subhuman, Astronomy. Some great, great music.
Yeah, I agree.
Not a single bad song on that album. Not a single good song on Raining Blood, in my personal opinion, but that's just my bias.
Criminally Insane, Raining Blood, Angel of Death. Plenty of good songs. I don't really like
any of those, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not that they're objectively bad, I just don't really like that style of music.
Gotcha. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime versus Van Halen.
Oh, well, okay.
So this is kind of topical. And trust me, this wasn't intentional. Van Halen just ended up on every single fucking top 10 metal albums list. And there's a good reason for that. It's a great album. But if you watched our Audioholics Unite on it, you know I have problems with it. Operation Mindcrime is a fan-fucking-tastic album as well. But, honestly, I don't really like Queensryche as much as I used to. My music tastes have been changing quite a bit over the past year. I used to worship the ground Queensryche walks on, but now that I've been exposed to a lot more prog, I think that they kind of just sound like hair metal prog, which isn't something I particularly love. And so I think for that reason, and also for the fact that Van Halen is a very influential album. It basically created the sound that would define the 80s. Eddie Van Halen himself, one of the most influential guitar players of all time. Van Halen has got to win.
I'm going to have to pick. Now, this may be very topical, of course, because of the unfortunate passing of Mr. Jeff Tate. Jeff Tate was a very good vocalist, I think. And, now he may not be dead by the time we are recording this video, but knowing how 2020 has gone so far, by the time we upload it, he will probably be dead too. So I just want to take this moment to prematurely give my condolences to the family of Mr. Jeff Tate. You may have been one of the biggest assholes in metal, but at least you aren't Eddie Van Halen. Fuck that guy. No, no, in all seriousness, Eddie Van Halen is a fucking legend. And Van Halen, self-titled, is one of my favorite albums of all time. So, come on. I have to.
You're agreeing too much on this side of the list. We've literally picked the same thing every time. We got to try harder to disagree.
Yeah. Here's the thing is I just have more nostalgia for Van Halen, but I think that it's just a consistently amazing album. Eruption, I don't care if it's actually not that hard to play on guitar, then fuck you, it's still a good instrumental. So
it sounds awesome. It sounds awesome.
Exactly. Their cover of You Really Got Me. Atomic Punk is probably the best song on the album. I would also say Little Dreamer is another underrated track. Those are two tracks, by the way, that do not get nearly the airtime that they deserve. But Ice Cream Man is really good. On Fire is another really good deeper track, but not even like regarding that. The big tracks that did get airplay are still really good. Tracks like Running with the Devil, Jamie's Crying, Ain't Talking About Love, man, just some great hard rock, almost borderline punk on this album.
Yeah, and by the way,
Eddie Van Halen is still an amazing shredderific god.
He is. By the way, I just recently started getting into David Lee Roth's solo career. Did you know Steve Vai? Did you know Steve Vai played on one of the albums, or maybe more of them?
I didn't know that, but I don't know. I never really cared. Eat 'Em and Smile, I never really cared for. A lot of his solo was just like bad covers.
Really?
If I remember right.
Yeah, I've been getting into. I think it was that album, Eat 'Em and Smile, and I don't know.
Was
it
Steve
kind of
Vai on
just
that
sound.
one?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah, he
I didn't
played
know
guitar
that.
on that album.
I have it on vinyl.
You would never have known, but yeah.
That's the one with like.
I mean, let's see if I can pay you. Let's see if I can pay you back for the ones that I already have first.
Yeah.
I own like $42, but money's been tight. All right, so let's move on.
Give. Hood rat.
This one's gonna be really, really absurdly difficult for me. It probably won't be that hard for you. Lateralis Tool versus Candlemass Nightfall. Oh, God. It's so insanely difficult because Tool Lateralis is, in my opinion, one of the best metal albums ever made, one of the best prog albums ever made. It's a work of pure genius. It's a work of pure art. But I love Candlemass so much. This is one of my favorite metal records. I literally learned half of this album, more than half of this album on guitar, just because I love it that much. I just love jamming to this album. I love listening to all of the songs. I love this album so much. I listened to it with commentary. I listened to all the demo tracks. I never do that. It's the album that got me into doom metal. It's the album that I think is the best doom metal album ever made. But it's going up against Lateralis. I have no idea which one to choose because I love both of these albums dearly. I guess I have to pick Candlemass, because we're not talking which album is objectively better, which album is objectively more influential, or whatever else. We're talking taste. And as much as I love Lateralis, I would pick up Nightfall probably way sooner than I would pick up any Tool record, because I just love Candlemass. They're one of my favorite bands. One of my favorite bands for sure. And I just realized I'm on your list, so there we go. Okay. Go on.
So this is going to be difficult for me because I don't really have much.
Just ignore this.
I don't really have much nostalgia for either one of these albums. If I had to pick, though, I would say maybe Tool Lateralis, just because it is so technically brilliant. The title track alone is just amazing.
Yeah, The Grudge, Schism.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't really like Tool all that much, and I don't really like Candlemass apart from the one album that I've heard enough to where I'm starting to become a fan of it. I don't know. I would say Lateralis, with the caveat that I haven't really listened to much of either one.
I figured this one would be, I don't know, like difficult for me because I like both of these albums so much, but kind of difficult for you because you don't really like either of them much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
again,
I don't
it's
know.
not that I don't like them, though.
I mean, you don't though.
It's
like you
not
don't
that,
want to
but-
listen to them.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. Still Life by Opeth versus Accept by, or Balls to the Wall by Accept.
Come on.
So, Opeth, do I even have to explain this? Come on. This is maybe my favorite album of all time now. It's really close. I'm really teeter-tottering on, like, In the Court of the Crimson King versus Still Life. Accept is dog shit. I mean, this is an okay album, but outside of this album, Accept is dog shit. Even this album is just, like, junk food, but not even good junk food. It's like the store brand junk food that nobody really likes, but if you're poor and you want chips, you know, that's what Accept is. That's what this album is. Also, just the album artwork. What even just, oh, look at those thigh bones, bro. Look, he's holding a ball.
Everything was gay in the 80s.
This was so gay.
This is a decade
what
of
the
AIDS.
fuck?
Come on. Like,
Whose thigh is that? I want to know whose thigh that is. I want to track down that guy and be like, hey, bro, thighs save lives, didn't you know?
I just want to yell, I love you, your finest.
Yeah, Opeth wins. Go on.
This is another one where I don't really. So I've never listened to the Opeth album, and I've listened to the Accept album maybe once. So Accept, I guess. It has some good songs on it. Title track, and also what is it, Wild Child or something like that.
I don't know. The only song I remember from this album is "You Got Your Balls to the Wall, Man."
Yeah. I don't really.
I actually think that song's really good.
I don't really like Udo. I don't love his solo career, and I don't really like him in Accept either. But
I think his solo career is better than Accept, though.
it's a toss-up. But I would say, like, I think not liking something versus not listening to something, not liking something wins, I guess. So yeah.
All right.
Cool fucking album.
Here's the shit post. Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf.
Oh no. No.
Versus Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses.
Okay, fine. I think I know what I'm gonna do.
All right, you know what you're gonna do? I'm gonna choose Meatloaf.
Really? No.
I'm joking. I'm choosing Guns N' Roses. No, like why is this on so many classic rock and metal album lists? Why is this there? Meatloaf sucks.
Agreed.
He's terrible. One of the worst vocalists of all time.
There's
singing on one of the worst albums of all time with one of the worst artworks of all time. What the fuck? Why do so many people like this bullshit?
It's just discount Queen. It's like, okay, you were talking about junk food. So Queen is quality junk food. I don't know, maybe you would have something like Styx or Magnum or something like that, which is like the discount store-bought junk food. Meatloaf is like the junk food you fucking get at the bottom of a dumpster at an Applebee's. Like,
you want to know what meatloaf is? Meatloaf is like those $1 steaks that Ashton's reviewed.
Oh no. This, my kids, is what a fox's cock looks like.
That's what meatloaf is. God, what the fuck? And now listen, I don't really like Guns N' Roses either. I actually kind of notoriously hate them. I think Axl Rose is one of the worst singers ever. I think Slash is a good guitarist, but not in Guns N' Roses. The rest of the band can suck a dick. They're not that great either. This album has like one good song on it, maybe, if I'm being nice. But it's better. That's one song more than Meatloaf. So I'm guessing you're choosing Guns N' Roses too.
Yeah,
right?
I'm picking Guns N' Roses. I don't have that much of a hate for that album though, because like Axl Rose, technically speaking, is a good singer. Like he has a really broad range if you actually look into it.
Maybe, but like he doesn't use it well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't really love his vocal style, but technically speaking, he's an amazing vocalist. That being said, I mean, Welcome to the Jungle is a good song. Night Train is good. Mr. Brownstone is probably the highlight of this album.
Yeah, Welcome to My Jungle is like the only song I was thinking of that's good off of this.
Yeah. Night Train is really good, though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Sweet Child of Mine isn't on this album, right?
Yes, it is.
It is? Oh, fuck that song.
Yeah, fuck that song. It has a cool riff, but I don't like it. It's just just.
Paradise City is a terrible song.
Yeah, that too. I forgot that was on this album too. But I will say this: Guns N' Roses I'd say the Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 albums are actually genuinely pretty good. Civil War in the Garden, which is Guns N' Roses and Alice Cooper. And for some stupid fucking reason, they took it off like one of the latest reissues. But Shotgun Blues. There's some November Rain. A lot of people shit on November Rain. I still think it's a classic. Maybe I just have a thing. Maybe I just have a thing for like
80s cheese is just your thing, and Guns N' Roses is king of that.
It's not even 80s cheese. I wouldn't say November Rain is 80s cheese. I think it's just the thing of
it's a hair ballad.
It's like the same thing as Stairway to Heaven. It progresses.
But it's a hair ballad. It's a hair ballad.
It's not a hair ballad. It's progressive.
It so is.
It's progressive.
It so is.
Okay,
it's progressive like Progressive Insurance.
Have you listened to the like what it actually builds up to?
Yeah,
like,
but
that
like
shit is good.
Stairway to Heaven gets heavy. This song doesn't get heavy.
Yes, it does. It does at the end.
I don't remember it getting heavy. I remember it getting like solo-rific.
Yeah, and that solo was fucking badass too. That being said, Appetite for Destruction, it's not good. It's not bad. I just think it's okay. Meatloaf is just straight up. Like, I think I was actually the one who was like, I don't know, a lot of people seem to like Meatloaf. Maybe you'd like it, but I just absolutely fucking hate this band. He was at my house. I put on the cassette, and
Story for the ages.
No.
We wanted to turn it off like 2 songs in.
Yeah, I will say that the only good thing Meatloaf has ever done was he had a song for Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that was actually pretty good, I think. Kind of like an old like throwback to like 50s rock and roll.
Well, I just figured out why my dad likes Meatloaf. Because
Yeah.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe if he listened to this album the whole way through, he'd know why Meatloaf sucks.
Yeah. I guess Paradise by the Dashboard Light, whatever, is okay as well.
No,
in
it
kind of a cheesy in kind of a cheesy Queen way, I guess. But again, this is just so bad.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on to stuff that isn't that bad. I mean, it's probably still bad, but not that bad. Crystal Logic and Leviathan by Mastodon, the 2 worst albums ever made. No, I mean, obviously I love both of these albums, but Crystal Logic blows Mastodon out of the park.
Remind me, yeah.
Manila Road.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
Crystal Logic is one of the best metal albums ever made. Crystal Logic is probably the best power metal album ever made, just point blank. It is masterful from front to back. Necropolis alone is worth the price of admission. Mastodon, it has a great album here. Blood and Thunder, I Am Ahab, Sea Creature, I think is the name of that one song.
I think it's Ahab.
Ahab, yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Read a fucking book.
It's a good fucking album. I've never read Moby Dick. Who cares about Moby fucking Dick?
I love Moby Dick. I love Moby Dick in my mouth.
I bet you do. Yeah, so Manila Road wins. Oh, and by the way, just to piss off all you Mastodon fans, Manila Road has better guitar playing. Fuck yourself.
Okay, so I don't like Mastodon at all. I was always like never a huge fan of Mastodon, and then he made me listen to like a little bit of this album, and I wanted to turn it off like the first song in. I don't like it. Not to say that this is objectively bad. It's genuinely a good album with a lot of talent thrown behind it. But I don't like it, just my personal taste. Now, that being said, Manila Road, Crystal Logic, that is a very good album for all the reasons that he outlined. I don't really have much to say on this one because I think he said all that needs to be said.
All right. Then let us move on. Let me make sure I'm on my list again. I have to keep doing that because I fucked it up last time.
Good
All
work.
right. Merciful Fate Melissa by Merciful Fate versus Blackout by Scorpions. All right, so I like Scorpions, but I don't think even their best albums are on the same level as Merciful Fate. I think Melissa basically just wins this by default. Melissa being a hugely influential album, King Diamond being an amazing vocalist, Michael Denner and Hank Sherman's masterful guitar riffing. Blackout's a great album, but it's a different dimension. Blackout, Scorpions in general is very like junk food, It's not that they're bad. It's just that their music isn't like, it's not going to blow away your entire life, It's not even their best albums, which in my opinion Blackout isn't. I know a lot of people love Blackout. I know a lot of people think it's their best album. I prefer the Uli John Roth era. But even in the Uli John Roth era, it's just not even on the same level. So, yeah.
So I don't have much experience, like I said, with King Diamond or Merciful Fate. Everything that he says is 100% true. That being said, I have a ton of nostalgia for Scorpion and specifically this album. So, Blackout. First of all, look at the fucking album cover. People who say Scorpions have shitty album art, look at this shit.
This is an exception. This is an exception.
Okay, no, it's not an exception. It's the fucking rule, all right? Animal, it's just comedy shock. Okay, well, the shock value is hilarious. So, yeah, fuck you. Obviously there are very controversial exceptions, but like Animal Magnetism has some fucking insane album art. And then like what?
It's just a girl kneeling and a guy standing in front of her, and then there's just a dog
It's
there for
so
some reason.
absurdly like just made for shock value that it's hilarious. Same thing with Love Drive. I don't even love that album, but god damn, that album art is hilarious. Okay, but Scorpions Blackout, I have a ton of nostalgia for this. First of all, that album art freaked the hell out of me when I first saw it. Like the dude with like the forks in his eyes, that is just honestly, that's more shocking than the things I think were deliberately meant to be shocking. Like I saw this, I was like, oh my god, this is freakish and disturbing. I saw Virgin Killer with the literal 9-year-old virgin girl naked on the cover, and I was just like, oh, I'll fancy that. Like, clearly my priorities are in the wrong place, but I digest. So we have No One Like You, which is the big hit off of this. Dynamite, which is an amazing song. Great China White, which is so good. Arizona, Blackout, the title track. Like
Isn't
this
No
is the
Like
thing.
You on this album?
It is. That's what I said.
Oh, I sorry, I didn't hear you say that one. This
No One Like You. There's just so much. Can't live without you. So yeah. Just I think this album is great front to back. And Melissa probably is too, but I just haven't listened. I think I listened to it once. And I do need to listen to it again.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one, which is Aqualung by Jethro Tull versus Who's Next by The Who.
Oh, that's tough. Well, I think I know what you're going to pick.
For me, I have to pick Aqualung.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite Tull album. I prefer Songs from the Wood. I prefer Thick as a Brick. I prefer a number of Jethro Tull albums to Aqualung. But it is the album that got me into Tull, and it's still an amazing album from front to back. Who's Next by The Who? You know, it's a great album. I have it on vinyl. It's a good album. I'm not a huge fan of The Who. I've never been huge on them. I don't know what it is about their sound that just doesn't work for me. Maybe it's the vocals, maybe it's the instrumental style. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. I've listened to Quadrophenia twice. I've listened to this album probably more than that. I've listened to their new album. It's just never really been my thing.
In all fairness, a lot of people seem to be kind of mixed on the new album.
Oh, and I've heard their debut album, the one with like My Generation on it, which I think really is a terrible song.
Yeah, I don't really care for it.
I don't really like The Who very much. So yeah, Jethro Tull wins.
Yeah. The Who wins for me. I love The Who. I mean, Baba O'Reilly, Won't Get Fooled Again. I don't care how many fucking episodes of CSI that's in. It's still going to be badass, all right?
Yeah!
Exactly. That's badass. Going Mobile.
Jeff Scott Soto did it better. Jeff Scott Soto did it better on Sons of Apollo in the intro of Coming Home.
Fuck Jeff Scott
He did the
Soto.
same, like, yeah, scream, but it was way better than fucking Pete Townsend.
Right. Anyway, his controversial opinions outside. Going Mobile is amazing. My Wife is just... That's probably one of my favorite songs on the album. The Song Is Over. Love Ain't For Keeping. Behind Blue Eyes. The only thing it's missing is the Speak and Spell. But otherwise, I think it's a great song that almost ends a great album, if not for the thunderous beauty of Won't Get Fooled Again. I love Jethro Tull's Aqualung as well. A title track, Locomotive Breath, Cross-Eyed Mary is the best song on the album. Wandering Out Loud. Mother Goose is really good. God is pretty good. I think there might be like some lesser songs on the album, but like overall, it's pretty good. Who's Next is one of my favorite albums of all time, front to back. It is definitely the best Who album, no questions asked. Maybe Tommy is like a second best, but no questions asked. It's Who's Next. The only real thing wrong with it is it could have been a lot better if you know the story behind like the Lifehouse sessions. But even those were eventually released on CD by Pete Townsend under his solo label, and he released a lot of the demos, a lot of the songs off of Lifehouse ended up on future Who albums, Quadrophenia, Who by Numbers, Who Are You, things like that. But this album is still amazing. It just could have been a lot better.
Alrighty. So let's move on to the next one. Bloody Kisses by Typo Negative versus Gojira from Mars to Sirius.
Oh, that's difficult, but yeah, I think I know what one you're picking.
Gojira easily. I really like I can't talk. I really like Typo Negative, but I do not love Typo Negative. I have never loved Typo Negative. I didn't even like them for a long time. The big songs like Christian Woman, I don't really enjoy. Black Number One is good. I mean, the songs are good. It's just, it's not a band I love. Gojira, on the other hand, I do love and I listen to all the time. This is not my favorite Gojira album, but it's the one here. So,
So I have to pick Typo Negative. That album blew me away when I heard it. Christian Woman, what was the one? The Loving You is Like Loving the Dead song.
That's Black Number One.
Yeah. Their cover of Summer Breeze is actually maybe one of the highlights of this album, believe it or not. Kill All the White People. It's just goth metal totally perfected. I've never heard a single album that sounds even remotely like this. And maybe that's a good thing, because you shouldn't try to imitate something this perfect. So yeah, Typo Negative, Bloody Kisses for sure.
Terrible album art though. What even is that? Just two women kissing? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I guess
they're not even kissing.
Well, they're
the ones like to the side.
It's Bloody Kisses.
I don't know. Just looks stupid. Anyway, to the next pick, and I think this might be the last one on this side. Black Sabbath, Master of Reality versus Among the Living, Anthrax. For me, Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Among the Living, it was really hard for me to pick Sabbath over Anthrax, because Anthrax is my favorite band of the big four. I think Megadeth probably has the best album amongst the big four, but Anthrax overall is a better band, because in my opinion, Rust in Peace is the only 10 out of 10, or even the only S rank Megadeth album. Every other Megadeth album I've heard, Euthanasia, Countdown to Extinction, Peace Sells But Who's Buying, Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good, Dystopia, every other Megadeth album I've heard just does not even come close to the heights of Rust in Peace. Not even the worst song on Rust in Peace. But Anthrax consistently was good throughout most of their career, and even today they're putting out amazing albums. That said, Black Sabbath is Black motherfucking Sabbath, and this album was for a long time my favorite Sabbath album, and it's easily the most influential Sabbath album. It created an entire genre. So yeah.
So I know I guess I'm not supposed to agree with you as much, but fuck you. So what can I say about this album that hasn't already been said? I'll say this. Hot take, Solitude is not a very good song in my opinion. Mainly because it just does not fit at all on the album. it makes no fun. It's like Planet Caravan. Like, yeah, maybe Planet Caravan isn't that bad of a song overall, but it's just so out of left field that it just it muddies the waters of an already pretty clean stream. I mean, you have Sweet Leaf, Children of the Grave, After Forever. God, like so many good, so good,
so good, so good.
I'm trying to think of the one song at the very end that's like really, really good.
Into the Void.
That's it, yeah. But yeah, some high quality shit on this album. Yeah, there's nothing I can say about this that has not already been said. 10 out of 10 would listen to again.
Yeah, so that was the right side. I hope you guys enjoyed. This one was there was a lot less disagreement on this side than there was on the first one, but that's okay. I expect going forward the choices are going to get a little harder. So let's go through our picks real quick. I'll start. Black Sabbath, Master of Reality. I guess I'm going to start and go backwards.
Yep.
Gojira from Mars to Sirius. Aqualung, Jethro Tull. Melissa, Merciful Fate. Crystal Logic, Manila Road. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Sorry, reflex. Opeth, Still Life.
Oh, was that reflex towards Opeth or Guns N' Roses?
Guns N' Roses.
Candlemass,
Nightfall. Van Halen. Secret Treaties, Blue Oyster Cults. Metal Health, Quiet Riots. Deep Purple, and Rock. And Logang chose Deep Purple and Rock.
And Rock, yep. Metal Health. Quiet... I'll do it. Metal Health, Quiet Riot. Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult. Van Halen. Which one was that? Oh, Lateralis by Tool. Balls to the Wall, except Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses.
Okay, moving on.
Crystal Logic, Manila Road. Blackout, Scorpions. Who's Next by The Who. Bloody Kisses by Typo Negative. And then finally, Masters of Reality by Black Sabbath. All right.
You know, it's actually Master of Reality. I've always thought it's Masters, and I've always said Masters.
Yeah, you're right.
Master of Reality.
It is Master of Reality.
But yeah, all right, so that has been the second part. In the third part, we'll go through the finals. We're going to do this a little differently in the third part because it's going to be really annoying for me to like constantly move the mouse around like this. So you're going to see a little bit of a different format on Scream. All
right, on Scream.
But until then, we bid you adieu. Bye-bye.
Guns N' Roses kicks ass. Such great 10 out of 10.